Hey guys, John with Trifecta here. So today we have a Tundra that's going to be coming in for a rear bumper setup, but this Tundra you can see is an Overland setup, right? So they're going to want to have a spare tire swing on the back as well as some jerry cans, and we're also going to make a hitch on the back too in case they do want to tow, or it's also usable for bike racks and things of that nature. So anyways, stay tuned. I'm really excited about this project. I think it's going to be a fun one. It's a little bit out of the ordinary for me to do, and I think you guys might enjoy it. So let's get started. Okay, so this bumper is going to be a high clearance bumper. So what we're going to do is we're cutting the bedsides up so they have a little better departure angle when he's going off-roading with his kids and going camping. So I used the masking tape to kind of make my line. I think that's the best way I've found to do this. I'm not necessarily the best at cutting these, but this is the best way that I've been able to get the best product of it as far as how it turns out. So you want to make sure you measure a lot. I found it really useful to use these measuring bands that you'd usually use for like tailor, I don't know, sewing or something, but it works really well in the garage. So you kind of wrap it around curved edges, and also obviously just a regular ruler. I'll make marks, measure more than twice to try to get it as best as I can before I cut, and then honestly I found the best way to cut it is really with a cutoff wheel, but usually you want to air a little bit lower just in case you do mess up. You can always sand up towards where you need it to be. So the bedsides have been cut, and I already got the rear bumper prepped, ready to accept some tubing that I bent up for this. Cleaned up the paint off of there and all that, and got the bumper bent, main bumper structure bent, and a couple plates for the top cut out on the CNC plasma and dimple dyed. And next I'm gonna start partial welding, and then we need to get this mounted on the truck, and I do have to do a couple other tubes to kind of connect the bumper to the hitch brackets that are already on the truck. So essentially this entire bumper will be a bolt-on bumper, but we want to make sure that it's strong enough to still tow, because we are going to put a tow hitch on here as well. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of prep right now before I get this bumper actually welded onto the vehicle. I made some holes for drilling out with the hole saw. And what that's going to be for is this pivot right here. I'll have to cut it down, but this is basically a bearing shaft that's going to be used for the hinge for the spare tire and the jerry cans. And then over here I got some plates that are going to be welded on top of the bumper. And I have my tube that's going to be going on the bottom portion of the bumper here, ready to be welded on, but I wanted to get this stuff taken care of before the bumper gets on the truck, because it's really hard to work around the truck drilling holes, welding next to the truck. It's just a lot easier to do everything off the truck if possible. So that's what I'm doing for now, and I'll show you one little quick trick here. So the way I found the center line of the tube is if you take, well in this case I have two tubes that are next to each other, so it's easy, but you can take like a ruler or a file, and you just rub it along the top of the tube, and if you look closely you can see that it leaves a line on the top, and that's your center line on the tube. So you can take measurements and figure out exactly what the center line of the tube is, so you can do some holes or whatever. At this point I've tacked in the plates that are going onto the rear bumper. And as you can see, I have the bumper off of the truck still. I haven't actually welded anything on the truck at this point. And I'm trying to build as much as I can off of the truck, just because of the sake of, you know, it's easier for room and that advantage. So I got the spindle pins that are used as swings for the tire and for the jerry cans that are going to be put on this particular bumper. They are squared, and as you can see, well, I sprayed some WD-40 on here, but so it kind of made some of the lines run a little bit, but I marked my lines as far as where I'm doing welds. I'm doing stitch welding on here. So you can see I've got that marked, and then on this side I've already started welding So that, you know, it's just easier, you know, don't have to do as much welding, and really welding the entire thing is not necessary. I did, however, weld all around where the spindle pin is because I just feel like the more support we have there, the better. And actually underneath that spindle pin, I drilled out a 3/4 inch hole, and I tapered or coped the spindle pin so that where I'm welding on it, it actually has a rosette weld on the bottom there to help, you know, get more support to that as much as possible. So anyways, here we are. You can see, you know, I measured out pretty specifically. They're all about 3 inches or so on all these welds. So, you know, just to have a uniform look. Anyways, hopefully by the end of today, I'll have this bumper welded on the truck, and we'll start doing some support tubes, as well as starting to figure out our configuration for the spare tire mount and for the jerry can swing mount. So probably another 2 days at least on this bumper. This is a little more in-depth bumper than what I'm used to, and so in that case it's taking a little bit more time, but no big deal. I think the product, once it's finished, is going to look really good. Here you can see I've done quite a bit of welding since the last video. I've also added in some tubing supports for the future, which will be a hitch mounted right in the center there. And I just wanted to show you something. This is a tube that I had made for this, and I guess just trying to show you a sense of some of the intricacies of notching. You know, for these ones it was pretty simple. It was just a fish mouth notch on both sides, same angle, nothing too difficult. And this one's actually not that difficult either, but on the back side here, I'm going to be coping it right up against this tube right here, and I had to basically make the same notch that I did right here, but I had to do, well, on here it ended up being 40-degree angle on this notch right here to match this here. So as you can see, I'll be able to stick this right here, and then with a hammer, it fits very nicely. There's no gaps, and actually I'll see if I can get it in there to show you guys. Excuse the door, the wind here. But yeah, you can see that, you know, there's no gaps, and it fits nicely right on the back side there as well. So no gaps, easy weld, and that's how you make a good product that's, you know, gonna weld nicely and look good as well. Alright guys, I apologize if I haven't been showing too much video of some of the build process. I think it just make this video super long, but basically we have the main bumper welded onto the truck. I have a few other support tubes I need to add in there. We've got the hitch welded in, and now we're preparing to do the swing outs. So we have the swing outs welded in as well. And now I'm just basically building the structure for the spare tire mount, which is going to be on this side of the vehicle here, and then we're going to have the jerry cans on this side here. So anyways, you know, I've bent and notched to make sure that we have clearance from the tailgate when we have the spare tire mounted on there, and I'm just about to cut the file for the spare tire carrier mount as well. I think I'll show you guys a little insight on some of the programming that goes on with the plasma files as well, so we'll skip over to that. Alright guys, so this is the program that I use. It's called SheetCam. I apologize if there's a glare on the monitor here. It's a little difficult. Probably should have had this somehow fixed in directly from the video into some type of file that records it. But anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and open my file here. I've already made the file. I've actually done quite a few test cuts already to try to get the whole bolt hole pattern pretty close to exact. So you can see here I got some inside holes that are going to be cut, as well as the round spare tire mount. You have to layer these so that it has the right cut sequence. So I'm going to make another layer that's for the outside. And I have all my tooling here as far as the thickness of the material that I'm going to be using. I've already input all the parameters for that, which is, you can go down a rabbit hole on YouTube watching all those videos, but in this case I do the inside holes first, obviously. So I go to the inside offset, And I have two tools actually made for this 1/4 inch thick material that we're going to cut out of. One of them is a 1/4 inch thick for mild steel holes. I've done that because I do a slower cut on these holes just because it helps make it come out a little bit more accurate, although I usually end up running a drill through there anyways to kind of clean up the holes, and I undersize them just a tad. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the outside layer, and this one I'll cut at regular 1/4 inch thick, and it does the path for that. So run the post processor, save, everything's good, no problems. If there was any problem it would show here potentially, and that's pretty much it. And then I'm gonna bring this over to my Mach 3 programmer, and I open up the file here, and that's that. And then we'll get to cutting in just a second here. So that's a kind of a glimpse into the programming that I use for this. It's actually pretty simple once you learn it. I mean, I'm not the king of this programming at all, but I've been able to do many cuts with the limited knowledge that I have on this. So, you know, don't be too scared if you do want to get into this stuff. It's really, you know, pretty easy to get into, especially, you know, a lot of people grew up on computers anyways. It's really not that difficult. Okay, so as you can see, I've done quite a bit of work. I guess I can't really document every single step in this process because it would be just a severely long video. But you can see I got the tire mounted, and still got some work to do as far as the latch system. I'll get to that next after I'm kind of finished with setting up the jerry cans. And so these are going to be mounted on the other side, and this is the plate that I cut out for that. So I got to weld all that together, and then we'll get that mounted. Got a license plate mount integrated into this jerry can mount. So and then we also have tabs on each end so you can run some straps through to strap down this assembly. So pretty cool. I think it's going to be an awesome setup. I gotta say that this is probably one of the most intricate rear bumpers I've ever done, and it's coming out fantastic. And you can also see I got some of the mounts underneath finished as well. So it's fully mounted to the truck. At this point we're just putting all the add-ons there. So really cool setup, super stoked on it. It's coming out really good. Alright guys, so here it is. I know I jumped forward tremendously, but I just wanted to get this done for the customer. I'm super stoked on how this came out. I think this is a great project that I had. Probably one of the most intricate bumpers I've ever done, especially in the rear, obviously, you know, with this whole Overland setup. It's super cool. It's got the jerry can mounts. You got a 35-inch tire here mounted to the back. It does have room for a 37. The customer does plan to possibly go to that size, so I made sure there's room for that. Just overall, this bumper is super awesome. Super stoked on it. Let me show you guys how it works. I've got a latch in the center here. It works for both of the, there's only one latch, but it holds both of these in place. I also made a little stopper here. It kind of holds it in place, so when he is on the trail, it locks into place. You can see here. And so that's a cool little feature. And then this slides out fairly easily. These spindles were bought off of Rough Stuff Specialties, roughstuff.com, not sure of the website, but a lot of off guys know Rough Stuff Specialties. Anyways, they make these really cool spindles that you can use for these tire swings, and they're super strong. I've seen a lot of other bumpers where they start cracking. These are just awesome. You obviously have to build it right. The spindle, the way I welded it into the tube, it's actually welded, you know, inside the tube, and I got it rosette welded underneath for strength. But also you need to have a little ramp in the center, which I built here. I'll try to get some better pictures at the end of the video for you guys, but this ramp basically supports both of these hinges when it's not being used. So essentially if he's going off-roading or whatever, it's going to hold up, you know, at least hold this end of it, so it's not just resting only on the spindles on the end of the bumper. So this is a crucial feature of the bumper. Honestly, if you didn't have this, you'd probably have some cracking or braking or too much movement. Don't want that when you're on the trails. So we got that, we got the hitch, receiver, welded in, we have the 7-pin connector. It's just overall a great high clearance bumper. You can see, obviously, I cut the fenders in the back, so the departure angle on here is awesome. And the coolest part about this is it's actually bolt-on. I utilized the stock hitch mounts for this. So overall, it's just a really cool setup. If he does decide to go with something else, I don't think he's going to. I think the customer's super stoked on this already. I can't wait to see his face when he picks this thing up. It just really came out good. It actually exceeded my expectations, as bad as that sounds to say. This thing just came out phenomenal. I'm super stoked on it. Just everything in general came out great, and it really worked out the way I planned for it. So just a cool setup. Anyways, it closes really easily. It's got a little ramp on here, so when you close it, it stops where it's supposed to stop, so it won't hit the tailgate. The tailgate does come down. I probably should have showcased that in the video, but the tailgate does come down, obviously, and it closes very, very simple, very easily, and very securely. So they're planning on putting an extra gas can in here, so that's why there's a little room in here. Also made room here. He's going to be able to hook up little hose bibs to his water tanks, so he'll be able to leave it in here and run it right out. So there's a lot of thought that went into this whole bumper, but I'm super stoked on how it came out. With that being said, I'm moving on to bigger and better things. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not stopping doing these videos. I love doing them. The fabrication projects, I'll never stop, but I'm starting a new career in real estate, and just as much care as I take into doing these bumpers, I'm going to take in the real estate thing. I'm super excited about it. This is a new venture for me. I love learning new things. Just like I got into off-roading and learned all of this on my own, no classes. Obviously picked up a lot of good tips from a lot of very, very talented fabricators out there. One of them is Lewis Built Performance. If you guys ever need good work, definitely go to that guy. Top notch, guy builds trophy trucks, end of story. Really good guy, but I learned a lot of cool tricks from him just in the last couple months actually. But real estate career, it's coming up. If you guys need any real estate stuff, I'm your guy. Like I said, as much as I take care of my customers with this, I would do the same thing for real estate. I know it's a shameless plug, but I'm just super excited about it. I love starting new things. I'm very, very excited about this new opportunity for me. So anyways, guys, don't worry. Like I said, I'm not stopping the videos. They're just going to slow up a little bit. I still have actually some projects coming down the pipeline that I'm still committed to. And, I'm just very excited about the future. So appreciate it, guys. I feel like this was the grand finale for me as far as projects in the garage. Like I said, one of the most intricate bumpers I've ever done. I know it's just a bumper, but just super stoked on it. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for everything, and until next time, we'll catch you guys in the garage. Take care.